Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots.
Mail-in ballots. He was fine with it.
Well, it was because his Republican strategists were panicking because they realized that they were going to lose without getting those mail-in ballots now. And I would imagine this time around, those same Republican strategists are also panicking because if he goes out there and starts to spread the word that mail-in ballots aren't going to work, these are going to be a real problem in the midterms.
Sam Seder from the Majority Report recently appeared as a guest on Abby Phillip's CNN show. Together, Sam and Abby teamed up to push back against two MAGA pundits over Donald Trump's outrageous claim that he's planning to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting. In this video, we'll take a look at the CNN clips featuring Abby Phillip, Sam Seder, and the rest of the panel. I'll also share my own thoughts along the way. Let's dive in.
Tonight, Donald Trump plays a throwback, declaring that he'll lead a movement to eliminate mail-in ballots.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened, massive fraud all over the place.
Mail-in ballots are not corrupt. Fraud rates in federal elections are tiny, and dozens of countries use mail-in voting, despite what Trump claims. So why is the president suddenly so amped up about this again? Well, apparently someone got in his ear. Someone with a history of fair elections and a wealth of knowledge when it comes to election integrity.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Yes, Mr. President, he would know because you'll recall that Vladimir Putin changed Russia's constitution to remain in power. Many of his opponents are either dead or in prison or in exile. Russia is notorious for vote tampering, restrictions on monitors, and rampant voter intimidation. And yes, Russia has interfered with America's elections. But perhaps the most important point is that it's unclear what the administration could actually do to end mail-in voting since that power belongs to the states. Just ask the Constitution. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Sam Seder, host of the Majority Report. I don't know if President Trump forgot that he did this, but let me just play it. This is September 2024, about a year ago, when he said this to his own supporters.
You know that absentee ballots are about to go out in North Carolina? In other words, it's time to start thinking about let's vote. So important. This will be the most important election in the history of our country. So whether it's mail-in ballots, early voting, voting on the day, you got to get out and vote. We want to save our country. We're the only one going to save it. That other group of people, they're going to destroy our country. We can't let that happen. Go out and vote for Trump.
Mail-in ballots. He was fine with it.
Well, it was because his Republican strategists were panicking because they realized that they were going to lose without getting those mail-in ballots now. And I would imagine this time around, those same Republican strategists are also panicking because if he goes out there and starts to spread the word that mail-in ballots aren't going to work, these are going to be a real problem in the midterms for those Republicans. Plus the fact that he has no authority to do this. I mean, he tried to pass he wrote up an executive order a couple months ago to deal with the voting, and he got shot down by two different federal judges. So there's really there's no path for him here, and it's sort of fascinating that all it takes is one suggestion from Putin. I mean, what were they doing talking about 2020 during these meetings? Like he's like a cat. It's like no object permanence here.
Where were the staff to remind the president that it's actually not true what he claimed, which is that the federal government let me just read it actually. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of our country to do. That is not at all what the Constitution says. You know that because you're a conservative.
Abby, Sam Seder is absolutely right with what he's saying here. Just think about it. We've seen time and time again how Donald Trump acts like a wannabe dictator. He openly admires strongmen and authoritarians while showing little respect for America's real allies, countries like Canada or democratic nations in Europe. Instead, he looks up to leaders like Vladimir Putin. Now imagine this, the President of the United States suggesting that our elections should look more like those in Russia, a country with no free and fair elections. That's exactly what Trump is saying. Let's make our democracy look more like Putin's dictatorship. It's beyond reckless. It's insane.
I agree with you. States have a huge role to play when it comes to elections. We also know that in 2020, as a result of the COVID pandemic, a lot of states went very aggressively in the direction of mail-in ballots.
Which they are entitled to do because they are in charge of the time, manner, and manner of the elections. They are in charge of that.
Even the U.S. Election Assistance Commission has studied mail-in ballots and said that there are a certain percentage, I believe like 500,000, that probably aren't ultimately delivered to their final destination. So I'd put this question to all of you. If you won the New York lottery, would you mail in your $1 million winning lotto ticket, or would you want to take it physically to the office to cash it in? I think if anybody wants to ensure that their vote is counted, the best way to do it. Well, then what about
that was a terrible analogy.
What about the Democrat Attorney General of New Jersey, who just an hour from here in Paterson, New Jersey, there was corruption and they're investigating voter fraud because there was a politician who used mail-in ballots to try to steal the election.
So voting is like I like the lottery. Let's talk about why that analogy was just terrible.
And of course, the MAGA guys prove the point again. If Donald Trump were saying the exact opposite of what he's saying now, like he did before when he once claimed mail-in voting was great, they'd be parroting that instead. They have no principles, no consistency, no morals. MAGA just follows whatever whim their dear leader throws out there. No questions asked. If mail-in ballots suddenly benefit Republicans, then MAGA is all in. If not, they're against it. It's pure hypocrisy.
So like voting is a right and playing the lottery is a privilege, right? Those are two vastly different things. And the right means that you should make it free and fair. Everyone should have access to it. We should actually be trying to make voting as easy as possible so that we're more inclusive. Things like Oregon is what we should be talking about, where they have Tobias Reed and automatic voter registration. That's where we should be going with this, not necessarily trying to crack down on it. Yes, we want to eliminate voter fraud, but if we want to go back to 2020, and the great irony in this, and I haven't heard neither one of you all have said a bad thing about Vladimir Putin tonight. Neither one of you all. And Vladimir Putin is someone who literally has killed his enemies, has killed his political opponents, has pushed them off roofs and poisoned them and all of these things. And he is the one who said that this is something you should deal with. And he went on Sean Hannity and
I
quoted
did say, by the way, that I believe the first comment I made was that he was a tyrant and shouldn't be trusted.
You're drifting from.
You know what?
You're drifting with
I
Vladimir
give you
Putin.
credit. I was
This
really
is not
talking
about
about
Vladimir Putin. This is about voter fraud.
Say something bad about Vladimir
Yes,
Putin.
it is
He's a
about
bad
voter
guy.
fraud. But let's hear
Not just
one
Paterson.
example.
I'm going to give you 5. In Paterson, New Jersey is the one.
Just 5?
No, more.
That's it?
I found a bunch.
How many votes are we
Sioux
got?
City, Iowa, North
Okay.
Carolina, 9, 2018, Appalachia, Virginia, 2006, Miami mayor was
Okay.
overturned in 97, Bridgeport, Connecticut was just overturned.
Okay.
Not every ballot.
So Joe, tell
Let me finish
me
that.
where
Not every ballot.
Tell me the degree to which mail-in voting
I'm telling you.
fraud was enough to change the result of a presidential election. Where is that?
I can't pronounce the name. In Michigan,
Of a
in Miami,
presidential election?
But not every election is about the presidential race. We
Okay.
also elect people at the state, federal, and local
Yeah,
level.
the
point I'm trying to make is,
Trump
Abby,
is making this statement
let me
based
finish the
on
point.
his
Joe Biden win?
own experience.
Let me finish the point. Not every ballot mailed in is fraud. But it's almost always the case where you have fraudulent ballots. It's done not just by mail ballots, but paper ballots, absentee ballots. So if the president wants to secure ballot integrity in a better way, I am 100% for this. Now, you all, last segment, were so worried about the MAGA base and how they would react to troops on the ground.
Can I
gonna
just
react.
ask a
MAGA base
clarifying
is
question
thrilled
of
about
you,
this.
Joe? You said you're all for what the president wants to do, but he is saying he wants to federally, he wants the president by decree to ban mail-in voting in this entire country. Are you for that?
No idea how I was going to do that.
Okay, are you for that? Because you just said that you're for what
I'm
he
willing
wants
to
to
wait
do.
for the executive order and see if
You
it's
just said
valid.
you're for what he wants to do.
If he figures out a way to meet the requirements of the court that struck it down previously, if he figures out a way to do it, I'm for it.
He can't, though.
If he can't, then he can't. But it's a thing that I would hope, and I've actually supported the New York State legislature in doing this. I would write a check to South Carolina legislature.
Let me ask you a
if they were
question. Are you in
supporting
favor? Are you in favor of when you turn 18, you're automatically registered to vote?
But you're acting like
Are you
mail-in.
in favor
But
of
you're
that,
acting
Joe?
like
Are you in
mail-in.
favor?
hold on, you're
Bakari
acting like
Sellers
mail-in
is
ballots
absolutely
are
right
something
when he says we
universal.
should be making it easier for people to vote, not harder. But MAGA Republicans want the opposite, because they know that the harder it is to vote, the better it is for them. If voting is made easier and more accessible, more Democrats are going to win. And they know it. Joe Borelli, like every other MAGA mouthpiece, does the same tired routine. They call themselves the F your feelings crowd, but everything they argue is actually based on feelings, not facts. Abby Phillip tried to point that out to him. There's simply no real evidence of widespread voter fraud. Sure, they can cherry-pick one or two cases, but even then, it often turns out to be Republicans committing the fraud. And in most instances, it's just mistakes. Someone accidentally voting in the wrong district, or not realizing they weren't supposed to cast a ballot in more than one location. Study after study of billions of ballots shows the same thing. Voter fraud is virtually non-existent. Fractions of a percent, if that. But again, with MAGA, it's never about facts. It's always about feelings and fear.
Trump was wrong. It wasn't one country. You were wrong too. It's not dozens. It's 12. 12 countries on planet Earth have
that's
12
actually
have,
not- no,
12
no,
have
no.
universal.
12 in Europe.
22 have other ways of getting it not universal. So that's 34. That's 15% of the countries on Earth.
Joe, we also don't have universal mail-in ballots. We don't have that. So
some
the
cases.
idea that, listen, it's not 12, okay, but there are over 30 countries in the world that have mail-in and ballot voting, A. And B, to your point, Sam, Donald Trump is messing with something that his voters use, okay? 24% of Republicans used mail-in ballots in the 2024 election. That is a little bit down from 2020 when there was a pandemic, but it just goes to show that you then take those voters, some of them are in the villages in Florida, they're in Utah where they automatically send mail-in ballots to every registered voter.
Right.
And Abby Phillip makes another excellent point here. A lot of Republican voters, especially MAGA supporters, are older. For many of them, it can be difficult to leave the house and get to a polling place. Plenty of Republican voters also live with disabilities that make in-person voting a challenge. And let's not forget the military, Americans serving overseas who have to vote by mail. So once again, this isn't a real problem. Mail-in voting is necessary and it works. But Donald Trump takes something that isn't a problem, twists it, and suddenly it becomes a crisis to MAGA. That's the pattern over and over again. Instead of fixing real issues in this country, Donald Trump and MAGA are obsessed with breaking things that already work, like mail-in voting.
The real story here, it seems to me, because you've got just a CNN poll out a month ago showed Democrats 75% more enthusiastic than Republicans at 50%. So if you're talking about getting to the election poll sites, the side that has more enthusiasm is a lot more likely to get there in the first place. This is Donald Trump worried about the midterm elections and trying to set up reasons why the Republicans are going to lose. I mean, this is a two-pronged thing. We're seeing it in terms of the redistricting, and then the other part is already start to build in the excuses. I mean, that's what's going on here, because he knows he's not going to get this past the federal judge.
There is a reason that the framers of the Constitution put this in the state's hands, right? And not so long ago, this is what the Republican Party platform in 2016 said. Federalism is a cornerstone of our constitutional system. Every violation of state sovereignty by federal officials is not merely a transgression of one unit of government against another. It is an assault on the liberties of individual Americans. Now, here we are in 2025, and Donald Trump is saying the states are just vessels to do what I want them to do.
The states are a laboratory of democracy. And
okay, that's not what he's saying. He's saying
I'll tell you what
the
I'm
states.
saying.
I'm asking you about what he is saying. He is saying the states are agents for what I want.
I don't know if that's the correct interpretation.
It's either right or
Abby,
wrong.
not.
Is it right or is it wrong?
Right now in this country, everything seems to be whatever Donald Trump wants it to be. Or at least that's what he's trying to make it. Republicans and MAGA love to play this game with states' rights. They'll say they believe in states' rights, except when they don't. Anytime a state does something they don't like, suddenly it's, oh, the federal government should step in. Donald Trump doesn't actually believe in states' rights. He believes in Donald Trump's rights. Whatever he says goes. That's the only principle. And Sam Seder is exactly right. Trump and Republicans know they're in trouble. The question is, does Trump want this so he can have excuses ready when they lose the midterms? Or is it about stacking the deck ahead of time, trying to rig things so they can win? We've already seen it with gerrymandering, and now they're coming after mail-in voting, trying to ban it outright. Because here's the truth. If the playing field is level, if everyone has equal access to the ballot without suppression, Democrats are going to win more often than not. And Republicans know it. So what do you think? Do you agree with Abby Phillip and Sam Seder that mail-in voting should be protected and expanded? Or are you siding with MAGA's ridiculous excuses that basically boil down to whatever the dear leader says? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.